My wife mocked my low income to impress her friends, so I left quietly and let her discover who paid every bill she now misses. I'm a 34-year-old guy, and I thought I had a good marriage, until I heard how my wife talked about me behind my back. I work in IT. Nothing glamorous, but it's stable, and I've always provided. I'm not flashy. I don't wear designer shoes. I don't care about luxury watches, and my idea of a great weekend is grilling in the backyard and watching a game. Hannah, my wife, is the opposite. She loves being seen. Brunches, spa days, girls' trips to Cabo. When we first got together, I thought our differences balanced each other. She brought sparkle to my life. I brought stability to hers. But somewhere along the way, the balance tipped into something darker. At first, it was little things. Comments I brushed off as jokes. Oh, Greg doesn't really get wine pairings, and he's more of a beer and burger guy. Or, we'll take my car. His looks like it should be delivering pizzas. I'd laugh along, even though my stomach would tighten every time. Her friends would giggle, and I'd pretend I didn't care. But I did. I remember the first time it really stung. We were at a rooftop party she dragged me to. Expensive cocktails, sunset selfies, the whole influencer vibe. One of her friends complimented her ring and asked if I got it from Tiffany's. Before I could say anything, Hannah laughed and said, "Greg? He's more of a Costco guy." Everyone laughed, including me. But inside, I felt like I'd been slapped. It wasn't the ring. It was what she was telling them. That I wasn't someone to be proud of. That I was less. That night, I drove home in silence while she texted in the passenger seat, still laughing at something. Probably me. And that was the first time I started to really wonder, who exactly did I marry? A few weeks later, we hosted game night at our place, something she insisted on doing monthly. Hannah loved to entertain, especially when it gave her a chance to show off the aesthetic upgrades she'd made to the house. Marble coasters, overpriced cheese boards, color-coordinated throw pillows, the works. I didn't mind. It made her happy, and I figured after a long week of debugging code and fixing servers, a little fun wouldn't hurt. The night started off fine. Her friends came in with their usual energy. Fake air kisses, loud heels, expensive perfume. I poured drinks, set up the board game, tried to laugh at the same stories I'd heard a dozen times. Then I stepped into the kitchen to grab some more ice. That's when I heard it. Hannah was in the other room, just around the corner, talking to her two closest friends, Kendra and Vanessa, the kind of women who always made me feel like I needed a new shirt or a better job. Honestly, I don't even know what Greg does half the time, Hannah said, laughing. He talks about networks and firewalls or whatever. It's cute. He's like a human router. They burst out laughing. Kendra added, "At least he's loyal. Boring guys usually are, that stung." But it was what Hannah said next that really did me in. I mean, yeah, I settled. He's safe. Not exciting, but he pays the bills. I stood there, motionless, gripping the ice scoop like it was keeping me upright. My heart didn't break, it curdled, like something in me spoiled and couldn't be undone. I didn't say anything. I just walked back in with the ice, smiling like nothing was wrong. But from that moment on, something in me went quiet. Like a switch flipped, and I stopped being her husband and started being her silent observer. After that night, I couldn't unhear it. Safe, not exciting. Pays the bills. That line followed me like a bad smell, tainting every smile she gave me, every casual "love you" as she walked out the door. I started noticing things I hadn't before, or maybe things I'd trained myself to ignore, like how she loved showing off our kitchen remodel to her friends, calling it her vision and her baby. Never once did she mention that it came entirely out of my savings. I remember standing next to her as she gestured to the new backsplash, saying, I knew it had to be marble. I just couldn't do anything cheap, and I just nodded, like a good little background character. Hannah didn't make bad money. She worked in digital marketing and had a decent salary. But she never contributed to the big stuff. The mortgage, me, groceries, me, internet, utilities, insurance, all me. Her money went to her, and in return she gave me the illusion of partnership. just enough affection to keep me compliant. I started tracking everything, not out of pettiness, but out of clarity. I needed to see it in numbers, so I made a spreadsheet, line by line, my income, my expenses, how much I covered month after month while she posted latte art and Hewer's Boss Babe captions. And you know what? I didn't feel angry, I felt embarrassed. Embarrassed that I'd let myself become so invisible in my own home, that I'd mistaken provision for value. And the worst part, I knew if I brought it up, she'd twist it into me being insecure or trying to control her, so I said nothing, and let the resentment quietly take root, until it started growing into something else. The thing about financial betrayal is, it's not loud. It doesn't come with screaming or broken dishes. It's quiet. It wears a smile. It laughs at brunch. It posts photos of your home like it's hers alone. It happened again when Hannah's parents came to visit. We were sitting in the living room, and her dad complimented the new couch. Nice leather. Must have cost a fortune, he said. Before I could respond, Hannah beamed and said, "Yeah, I saved up for it for months. Worth every penny." I stared at her, stunned. That couch had been my Christmas gift to her. I'd even put a stupid little bow on it when it was delivered. Later that night, I brought it up, carefully. "Hey, just so you know, when you said you paid for the couch—" "Oh my God," she interrupted. "You're really keeping score now? It's our money, Greg." Except it wasn't. We had separate accounts, and mine was the one constantly getting emptied. But she didn't want to talk about that. She wanted to talk about how I made her feel small by bringing up money, how I was too sensitive lately. I started to realize she had a gift for flipping the script so quickly you forgot what you were even upset about. I stopped fighting. Fighting didn't work. Logic didn't work. She was always the victim, and I was always the insecure husband who couldn't handle a strong woman. So I started collecting moments, like evidence. The couch, the kitchen remodel, the endless packages arriving with her name on them, and my bank account drained just a little more. She wasn't stealing from me. She was using me, with a kiss on the cheek and a smile that said, "You should be grateful, I'm still here." And I started asking myself a new question. What would happen if I wasn't? The breaking point didn't come with a fight. It came with a notification. One Saturday morning, Hannah handed me her phone. "Can you fix this? My screen keeps freezing." It was nothing new. I was her personal tech support. I unlocked her phone, ran a quick check, and opened her messaging app to test it. That's when I saw the group chat, pinned at the top. Wives who deserve more. I don't know what made me click it. Curiosity? Instinct? Self-preservation? Whatever it was, it changed everything. The first thing I saw was a picture of me, sitting on our couch watching TV. She'd taken it secretly. The caption read, "He's in his natural habitat. Budget man doing what he does best, saving money." Underneath were laughing emojis. Her friends piled on. "At least he's not out cheating, right? Could be worse. Mine still drives a Corolla. Girl, you'll upgrade eventually." I felt my hands start to shake. I scrolled further. There were screenshots of our conversations. Texts where I reminded her to stick to the budget or asked her to hold off on another purchase. She'd posted them like memes. Imagine being lectured by your accountant husband. My chest felt hollow. My face burned. I wasn't her partner. I was her content. A running joke for her to perform for applause. When she came back into the room, I handed her phone to her calmly. "It's fixed," I said. She didn't notice anything. Didn't see the storm behind my quiet eyes. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay awake next to her, listening to her breathe, wondering how long she'd seen me as a joke. And by sunrise, I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't going to confront her. Not yet. I was going to watch, and let her show me exactly who she really was. After that morning, I went quiet. Not the cold shoulder kind of quiet. Not dramatic silence, just stillness. I woke up, made my coffee like usual, kissed her forehead like usual, and went about my day. But inside, something had gone completely numb. I stopped checking our joint calendar. I stopped offering help when she went on her weekend shopping sprees. I stopped caring when she posted those boss wife, lazy husband memes with suspiciously specific captions. I was watching her, but not the way I used to. Not with love, with clarity. She didn't notice the shift. Or maybe she didn't care. When I rerouted my paycheck to my separate account, she didn't ask. When I removed myself from the house cleaning service autopay, she didn't notice. When I quietly canceled the Netflix, Hulu, and every subscription linked to my card, she texted me once, "Babe, Wi-Fi's being weird." I replied, "Yeah, probably needs a reset." And that was it. There was something strange and almost addictive about the calm. I used to think anger was loud, but this new silence, this quiet disconnection, it was surgical, cold, controlled. She still played the role of the loving wife online. Selfies at dinner, filtered stories with captions like, "He's my rock even when I want to throw rocks at him." But offline, I was disappearing right under her nose. And maybe that's what she deserved. Not a confrontation, not a meltdown, but absence. Not physical, not yet, but emotional absence. A void she wouldn't notice until it echoed back at her. Because what's more painful than being yelled at? Being forgotten, and I was making sure I became the thing she thought she never needed. Until I was gone. Her birthday fell on a Friday that year. She wanted to celebrate at this high-end fusion place downtown. The kind where the plates are tiny, the music's loud, and the cocktails cost half a tank of gas. I didn't argue. I just booked the table and told her to invite whoever she wanted. She did. Of course she did. 6 of her closest friends. The same circle that lived for comparison and compliments. The night started off predictable. Laughter too sharp, perfume too thick, endless photos before the food even arrived. I sat there, smiling, half listening to them gossip about who bought what and who's outgrown their partners. Then, somewhere between the second round of martinis and the server bringing out her cake, it happened. Kendra, the same one from the group chat, leaned across the table and smirked. "So, Hannah," she said, "when are you trading Budget Man in for an upgrade?" Everyone laughed, even Hannah. She swirled her drink and said, Maybe when I find one who can actually afford this place." More laughter. And me? I just stared at her. My wife. The woman I'd built a life around. She didn't even look my way when she said it. The server placed the bill on the table. Of course, no one reached for it. Not even her. So I did. Silently. Swiped my card, signed my name, and sat there while they toasted to another year of leveling up. But inside, something finally cracked. Not a sudden explosion, a quiet fracture. The kind that doesn't hurt right away. That night, while she slept off her cocktails, I sat on the edge of our bed staring at her and thought, I'm done. Not angry, not broken. Just done, and for the first time in years, the idea of leaving didn't feel scary. It felt peaceful. The morning after her birthday dinner, something in me had shifted for good. There was no breakdown, no confrontation, no final straw left to pull. I just knew it was time to go. I didn't make a plan right away. I just started disappearing. First, I called the bank, closed the joint credit card. Then I moved the last bit of my savings into a private account she didn't know existed. I told my boss I'd be working remote for a while and rented a small furnished apartment across town. Quiet. Clean, anonymous, I spent 2 weeks preparing, all while she floated through life as if nothing was wrong. She still posted grateful wife quotes online and tagged me in throwback pictures talking about how lucky she was. The irony made me sick. The day I left, it was a Sunday. She'd gone out for brunch with her friends, laughing in the doorway as she left, telling me, "Don't wait up, we're doing mimosas till we drop." I waited for her car to disappear down the street. Then I stood in the silence of our house, our museum of fake happiness, and started packing just one suitcase. My clothes, my laptop, a few photos of my parents. I didn't take anything she'd bragged about buying. Let her keep the couch she paid for. Let her have the marble backsplash and the designer rugs. I left my wedding ring on the counter next to her untouched coffee mug. No note, no explanation. By the time she came home, I was gone. No goodbye. No closure. Just absence. Clean and complete. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel small. I didn't feel mocked or measured. I felt free. But freedom has its own silence. And hers was coming next. It took her 3 days to call. I thought she'd blow up my phone the moment she walked in and saw the empty drawers. But no. Silence. Maybe she thought I was bluffing. Maybe she assumed I'd come crawling back with flowers and apologies like some pathetic sitcom husband. On the 3rd day, the calls started. First just 1, then 5. Then 10 in a row. I ignored them. Let them ring out. By the end of the week, the texts were full paragraphs. "Greg, I don't know what's going on, but this isn't funny. You're being dramatic. The mortgage didn't go through. Did you forget to pay it? My card's being declined. What the hell is happening?" That's when it began, her unraveling. She tried logging into our bank account. It was locked down. She tried calling the bank. They told her she was no longer listed on the account. Her friends stopped visiting. The cleaning service didn't show up. The lights flickered once. Then the power shut off entirely. And I waited. Finally, she sent one last text. "Why are you doing this to me?" I replied with one sentence. "I funded everything you mocked." No punctuation. No anger, just fact. She didn't reply, didn't call again. Later, I heard from a mutual friend that she'd moved in with her parents, that she was going through something, that she was suddenly very quiet online. No more dinner selfies. No more grateful wife quotes. Just a feed full of throwbacks and vague captions like, "People change," and "You never know what you have until it's gone." She didn't just lose me. She lost the version of her life she curated for everyone else, and I wasn't watching out of revenge. I was watching to remind myself why I left, because sometimes rock bottom isn't when you fall. It's when someone finally feels your absence loud enough to echo. About 2 weeks after she went quiet, I got tagged in a post. Public, polished, perfectly staged. It was a black and white photo of us from our wedding, the one where I was looking at her like she was my entire future. She captioned it, "We weren't perfect, but I'll always be grateful for the love we shared. I've learned a lot. Growth is painful." Comments poured in, "You're so strong. Whatever happened, you'll rise above." Men never appreciate a real one. I read every word with the numb detachment of someone watching a rerun of a life they no longer starred in. That post wasn't for me. It was for her audience, her followers, her image, a curated apology with a romantic filter. She never once messaged me directly to say she was sorry. No ownership, no confession, just a performance. A few days later, I got an email. Formal, cold. She wanted to discuss next steps regarding the house, the remaining bills, and potential reconciliation. Reconciliation. As if this was a temporary argument. As if I hadn't spent years being laughed at behind my back while paying for the very life she flaunted. I didn't respond. Not to the email. Not to the follow-up text. Not even to the voicemail where she finally broke down crying, saying she missed the stability. That's what I was to her. Stability. Not a partner. Not a person. Just a safety net she never thought would disappear. And now that it had, she didn't know how to stand without it. But I wasn't coming back to be her ground again. Not after she made sure the world knew she could fly without me. We finally met. At her request. A neutral cafe downtown, midday, quiet. She chose the place. I chose the time. She looked different. Less polished, more real. No lashes, no filters, no curated perfection. Just a woman sitting across from a man she never really saw. She opened with small talk. Weather. Work. Asked how I was holding up, like she was the one offering comfort. Then she said, "I didn't think you'd actually leave." I didn't respond. I just reached into my backpack and pulled out a folder. Inside, printed statements, receipts, bank records, the trail of every expense I'd ever covered in our marriage. I slid it across the table. Before we talk about the house, I said, you should understand exactly what you lost. She flipped through the pages. Her fingers slowed. Her eyes scanned line after line. Mortgage, 36 consecutive payments, my name. Grocery bills, 100% mine. Her new phone. Her birthday trips. Even her damn eyelash extensions. Each one paid for by the man she turned into a punchline. Her face lost all color. This isn't necessary, she whispered. It is, I said, because for years you told the world you carried me. That I was lucky to have you. But the truth is, you built your image on my foundation, and you never once looked down to thank the ground you were standing on. She blinked fast, like she was trying not to cry. I don't know if it was guilt, regret, or just shock that the guy who once quietly paid for her dinner had finally sent the emotional invoice. I didn't know you felt this way, she murmured. I stood up. You didn't care to ask, and then I left. No hug, no closure speech, just the truth left sitting on a cafe table, right next to her almond milk latte. It's been 6 months. I still wake up early, make my own coffee, go to work, and come home to silence. But now, it's the good kind of silence. The kind that doesn't feel like walking on eggshells. The kind that wraps around you and says, you're safe now. I never looked back. Never drove past the old house. Never checked her socials. I didn't need to. Mutual friends told me she moved back in with her parents for a while. That she tried to date someone new. A flashy guy who liked to party and post, but it fizzled fast. Apparently, he didn't pay bills. Some said she was trying to figure things out, that she was growing. Good for her. I don't hate her, but I don't miss her either. I'm not interested in revenge anymore. I don't fantasize about her begging me back or seeing me thrive while she falls apart. That kind of victory is too noisy, and I've come to love quiet victories, like watching my savings grow, like making dinner in a kitchen where no one rolls their eyes at canned tomatoes, like meeting someone new, someone who doesn't care about brand names or brunch aesthetics, and realizing love doesn't have to come with humiliation. The truth is, I don't even blame her for everything. I blame myself, too, for staying silent too long, for mistaking providing for being valued, for thinking love had to be earned through sacrifice. But not anymore. Now I give, but I don't bleed. Now I love, but I don't disappear. Now I speak, even when it's uncomfortable. Because peace doesn't always come from fixing the people who break you. Sometimes it comes from leaving quietly, and letting them hear the sound of you not coming back.